All right, we'll get started in about 2 minutes. So anyone who's signing up to speak, make sure you've done so. Tammy, how are you? I can't wait. I can't wait. Okay. All right, good. Awesome. Okay, good. Where's B? All right, I'm going to call to order the SWABC Executive Committee meeting of November 10th, 2025. If you would, Mr. Storti, please call the roll.
Chair Ryan.
Present.
Vice Chair Furr.
Here.
Member Shuham. She said she'd be late. Member Horland.
Walking in.
Okay. Member.
He's here.
Okay, got it. Okay. Member Mateo Bowen. Member Dunn.
Here.
Member Rydell. Member Mead.
Here.
Member Caggiano.
Present.
Member AJ Ryan. Member Newton. Member Bright Cruz.
All right, we don't quite yet have a quorum, is that correct?
I think we're almost.
Okay, let's go ahead and, if you would, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so while we don't have a quorum, we can proceed with a number of items. We'll begin with public comment, starting with Richard from Chowder. Please come forward. And then Tammy, you're on deck.
Testing. Okay.
Perfect.
Good morning, Richard Ramcharitas, Office Ranches. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, Executive Director, and members of the Executive Committee. I'm here to speak about what I believe should be our top near-term priority for composting in Broward County, and that is site planning. The master plan recognizes composting as a cornerstone of our future waste strategy. The value is not in question, the urgency is. Until a site is identified as sites, progress remains theoretical. We can't design systems, secure funding, or partner with the private sector until we know where these facilities can go. I urge the committee to direct staff to identify and evaluate potential sites within the next 6 months, focusing on industrial zone parcels and also appropriately buffered agricultural lands. Including ag-zoned sites is important. They often offer the scale, isolation, and compatibility needed for composting operations, particularly in the western parts of the county. With proper controls for odor, stormwater, and access, these areas can complement our industrial options and expand flexibility. We should also consider partnering with the Broward County Public School Board to repurpose schools that are planned for closure. These facilities can be converted into zero waste hubs for reuse stores, repair facilities, recycling, smaller scale local composting, community gardens for food security, and sustainable jobs training centers. Every month we wait, available land shrinks and costs rise. Site planning isn't another study. It's the step that makes all other steps possible. If composting is to remain central to Broward's waste reduction strategy. We must start by putting it on the map, literally and soon. Thank you for your leadership and for keeping this a priority. Miami-Dade County is leading the way right now. So let's join the wagon.
Yes. Thank you, Richard.
There's something wrong with this microphone. Do we have to use it?
Yes, for recording it for the millions of people at home. I can hear you, so it's fine.
There's an echo. And it's
But I can hear you. Don't worry. You'll be able to.
Tammy,
Pretend you're at Carnegie Hall and you have to deal with a little bit of an echo.
there is no echo there.
When you're playing, there might be. Go ahead.
Tammy Lettieri, Coconut Creek, 33066. So I agree with what Richard is saying regarding composting. New York City is doing it. They're 4 times the size of Broward. Shame on Broward. I am here to say that finally, at long last, I believe you will be telling us how you plan to torment North Broward by transporting Beam Fir's beloved methane from the landfill to the sludge dryer that you plan to build, probably at Alpha 250 site, if you can get Pompano to go along with it. I doubt it, and I certainly hope not, and I will be there to fight it. Let's talk about incineration. Marketable trash is what Steve Geller called it back in November at the meeting, the county meeting, when we all fought that first big battle. Marketable trash. Incineration, an endless supply of trash to burn. Trash is cash for this solid waste authority, because you're all in such a big hurry to raise our rates. You have done nothing. I have seen nothing come from this committee by the way of notices, flyers, and whatnot to encourage people to be better consumers. We're stuck. We're getting the short end of the deal. We're stuck disposing of the trash. These companies like Walmart, Amazon, we got to pay for their lousy business model. We're paying not only for SNAP benefits because they don't want to pay a livable wage, we got to haul away their excess packaging that most of it is not recycled. And even if it is, you're going to charge us on that end too. So teach people to be better consumers. And here's the first example. That pitiful example of a recycling bin in the lobby. Yeah, Mr. Cole. Yeah, you're surprised? It's pitiful. Go look at Target. Go look at the recycling
Tammy,
center
let me
they
just stop you.
have.
As a point of order, you can direct your comments to the chair, not to
Okay.
individual members, please, as a matter of dignity and how we decorum.
He did this to me, so I responded. He made a
Okay.
face.
Fair
So-
enough.
Okay, so go look at Target, and I'm just doing it again now, so laughing while I'm talking. Anyway, go look at Target's recycling setup. In fact, I will send you all an email. In comparison to what you have shown out there in the lobby, it's impossible to recycle right. People can't even tell which hole is for which. You need to do better.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak during public comment? All right, we'll close public comment. How are we doing on quorum? Okay, just a couple of quick comments. I just want to note that the 15th is America Recycles Day, and the Solid Waste Authority is working together with partners in the community to push this information out. I want to tell you about 2. The Florida Panthers, your back-to-back champions who hopefully will three-peat, have been implementing a very aggressive recycling campaign within their own facility. Last year alone, and this year, they've recycled more than 200,000 pounds of material, 100,000 pounds of cardboard, which is a 48% increase from the year before, and 16,000 pounds of baled aluminum. And why is that important? Recycling aluminum is 95% more conservative in terms of the energy necessary to produce it from raw materials. In addition, on the 15th, the Panthers will be announcing their phase 1 of their composting program. It is an effort to work through a plan of beginning with the back of the house, and they expect that there will be tons of material. They've already begun to partner with local composting farms. In addition, as we know, City Furniture, who has presented to us, has historically and continues to create very aggressive goals. In the past years, they have been able to produce within their own environment a circular economy that has allowed them to capture all of the materials for packaging. They've delivered not only goods that can be reused, but they delivered to materials recycling facilities over 8.5 million tons of material, all of which was diverted from the landfill. So there are great examples throughout this community, big and small, and we all have something more we can do. And I thank the Solid Waste Authority members, the governing board, the executive committee, and the staff for continuing to push this forward as we need to do better. Okay, meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve October 6th and October 17th? Motion by Commissioner Dunn, second by Member Mead. Any comments? All right, call the question. Actually, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, those pass. All right, I know we need to move up the master plan update because I think that there's a time pressure on SES. So what could I have a motion to move up item 9? Move it up. We're just moving it up. Move it up. Retire Bo. Yes, thank you. And second, Rick Caggiano. All in favor say aye. All right. All right, master plan update. Daniel. Thank you.
Morning, Chair, Vice Chair, Executive Director, Council, members of the Executive Committee. My colleague Vita Quinn is on the line. I would like to invite her to provide an update on the detailed financial plan.
And while we bring her online, just to update members Mateo Bowen, members Shuham, member AJ Ryan are present.
We're working on it. We have the expenses, the projections that were in the reports that we're trying to incorporate into the analysis now. So we're staying on the expense side at the moment. We'll work on the revenue side after that. The plan is to have it complete to be able to present here in January.
All right, that's the timetable that we had for completing the final master plan. Is there any opportunity, Daniel, or through the team to have any drafts before the January meeting?
Yes, we'll continue to provide updates as we draw closer, and we'll be able to provide you with an exact date that we'll be able to present a draft to you.
The reason I raise it is I think there's going to be a lot of questions from the individual members, and the more that we can have engagement with SES through the individual members, through the draft documents and otherwise, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, we've started the conversations with the individual members of the Executive Committee, and we'll continue that
Perfect.
with the governing board.
Okay. Any questions to SES and their team? All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Back to the agenda, Executive Director's report, member assessments, and the meeting schedule.
Real quick, just with regards to the member assessments, they'll be in the mail by this Friday, 11/15. And use the new BERB population estimates for 2025. It's been updated. So they'll be in the mail this Friday. And then in front of you is the meeting schedule with confirmed dates for this room for the entire year, for not just the executive committee, along with the governing board meetings. And in addition to that, there's also the subcommittees meetings for C&D and education and outreach. There is one with regards to June 19th that we sent out a survey last Friday on. You'll see it on the thing, on the schedule, where we do need input on how you would like us to move that one meeting.
All right, before we get to the guidance on that, if you could, on the list of the meeting dates, I know you have the first section is executive committee meetings. I would change that to say executive committee and governing board, because governing board is embedded within this meeting list. So let's make that clear for the governing board members. Otherwise, there may be some confusion that are not set if they don't read it close enough. With respect to June 19th, the issue is either an alternative date or an alternative location. That is a holiday. So the options are June 15th and June 18th. Is there any, what's the will of the members? Monday to June 15th. Anybody have any issues? All right, seems like that's the consensus. Go ahead and we'll notice it that way for the morning, since mornings are, I think, better for everyone. All right, any questions regarding either the member assessments or the meeting dates for the executive committee and the governing board? Member Dunn.
Executive Director, if you could please, I just want us to make sure that we cross-reference it with Florida League and National League dates. As you know, there are quite a few members of this board that's also board members there as well. It might be a lot to ask, but I think that'd be important to make sure that we have quorum.
All right, let's do this. So those members who are participating in those, if you could get that to Mr. Storti, the dates, rather than making him research what are the key dates, or maybe a number of those throughout the next 10, 11 months. So to the members, please take some time and let Mr. Storti know. Okay. Item 6, Citron Cooperman 2024 audit report. Citron Cooperman. Perfect.
Good morning. I'm William Benson. I'm the partner from Citron Cooperman and oversee the audit for the Solid Waste Authority. With me today is Alex August, one of our managing directors, as well as Brian Bussell, who basically oversaw the fieldwork portion. He's a director in the firm. I'm going to allow Alex to make some comments about the initial audit that we performed, and then also talk a little bit about we're about to get going on the second year that just ended September 30th of 2025.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Bill. Good morning, everyone. Vice Chair, Chair, Executive Committee members, Executive Director, thank you all. As Bill mentioned, my name is Alex August, here with Citron Cooperman. It's an honor to be a service to solid waste of Broward County Authority. Here to present, I have the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2024 financial statements. This is the first financial statement that has ever been done for this authority, so that's something to be celebrated. Another thing to be celebrated, and I'm just going to go over the reports. You have it with you at your desk, but the most important thing, page 1, again, something to be celebrated is we have presented a clean opinion. This is the only opinion you want to be associated with as an organization, and it's something to be celebrated. So congratulations on a clean opinion. It's not easy to do. It takes a lot of hard work and effort. So I just want to thank Todd, Lori, and Jamie with Weiss Sirota, Alex with Cone Resnick. Took a group effort to get this done. And again, a clean opinion. So all records and transactions and items we asked for came back clean, no issues. The next page I just want to highlight, I'm going to go over this very high level, is page 4, which is the management discussion and analysis. If you don't want to read every page of these financial statements and you just want to focus on maybe what happened during the year, the MD&A management discussion analysis would be a great place to spend your time. You get to a fair picture of what happened in your inaugural year. The next page I would just like to highlight for you all is page 7. So the statement in that position, this tells you how many assets you had against your liabilities as of September 30th, 2024, and then your net position, the net of that number. So you have $1.4 million net position, cash and cash equivalents of 1.6, and some accounts payable of $250,000. The next page I want to discuss is page 8. So this is your statement of revenue, expenses, and changes in that position for your inaugural year, September 30th, 2024. So $2 million from municipal member fees, along with almost $672,000 of total operating expenses, and some interest income, which takes you to your $1.3 million net position. If you want some additional context on these numbers, you can go to the notes to the financial statements. So beginning on page 10, we'll provide you some context behind each of those numbers. And then finally, because you are a government entity, we do also issue an opinion on the internal controls under government auditing standards. And so if there were any findings or control deficiencies or material weaknesses that we encountered, we would have presented them to you in this report. Again, congratulations, none that we discovered. So that means things are in order. And with that, we are excited to, now that the September 30th, 2024 financial statements are complete, we're excited to get started on September 30th, 2025, get everyone all caught up with the activity of the organization. And with that, I'll take any questions.
All right, any member questions? All right, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your
Thanks so much.
engagement and the detailed work. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, item 7, master plan adoption update, draft timeline. SES, you want to come forward and we'll talk with Todd, have everybody come forward and make sure we're all on the same page.
Real quick, while Daniel's getting up to the mic, in front of you is the proposed master plan facilities amendment schedule. We have updated that based on some of the recent discussions with regards to moving up the timeline with having the facilities amendment completed. You heard from Vita just a little while ago. We will have a draft later in December, all right, to be able to present with regards to the financial modeling and by January 16th executive committee / governing board meeting. These are tentative, but we are working in this time frame right now to make sure that we get the facilities amendment and the master plan adopted by the governing board by the March 20th meeting. If we can do that, get the adoption and the recommendation for by the governing boards and the executive committee by the March 20th meeting, we would then be sending that out to the member cities by Monday, March 23rd, that following Monday, and that begins our 120-day timeline with regards to getting final adoption by all the cities prior to the ILA end date, which currently is August 14th, which is on that schedule that's in front of you.
All right, before we get there, this is a very aggressive timeline that has no room in the joints. Where you see the tail end of this, so the deadline for cities to approve is July 21st. We know the county takes off generally for the summer, as do most or many of the cities, although they are often able to hold special meetings. It means that we have to stay to these timelines without exception. It also means that for the individual members of the executive committee and ultimately the governing board, as we'll discuss on the 21st, it is imperative that you begin the process. 2 issues that must begin immediately. 1, educating your individual commissions and councils on where we are, what's coming forward, and what the status is, long before the February 20th date. I would respectfully suggest time taken to update both staff and the members of your commission and council so they are aware of what is coming. Second, it would be imperative to begin scheduling on your future agendas as close or as near as possible to the March 20th date, actual agenda items to have this discussion. I say that because if there is a need for a second hearing on that, you're going to need to move relatively quickly for it. Sometimes you can have a quorum issue or somebody has more questions, but I think it's going to be imperative that we start immediately with these 2 issues, both education of your own individual commissions and councils, and second, beginning and your staff, and second, beginning the process of making sure you're set on an agenda as soon or as close to March 20th thereafter for it. To the members, Member Mateo Bone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as we report out to staff and our colleagues, is there any opportunities to share their concerns if they bring it forward to us?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. It is implied and assumed within that effort of education that you're coming back. So really starting November, December, into January, if you're coming back with comments that are of concern to your individual commission or council members as well as your staff, let's make sure we're embedding that in January, long before we're faced with having to approve this on February 20th. It's a great point, and I appreciate that being raised. Any other member comments? Member Shuham.
Just logistically, will the chair be reaching out as far as the schedule? Lots of us have meetings on the same day and things like that. So I'm curious logistically, the scheduling effort to come to these commission meetings.
So that's a great point. First, I think the question is to each of the individual members. You know your commissions and councils best. Whether there's a need for additional resources from the SWA to come and present is something that is an informational point that you'll have to provide us. I know for Sunrise, I'm not going to need Todd, and I'm not going to need SES to come. Okay. Part of the work of us on the executive committee is either being ambassadors for or being able to answer most of the questions. That's why the sooner you have a discussion with your councils and your commissions, we'll know whether there's a need for there to be a specific presentation. Second, the efforts to schedule that because of the sheer numbers is going to be dependent on the level of questions and what needs to be done in advance. In some cases, it may be individual members have questions for SCS staff and SWA staff that can be answered in individual meetings, as opposed to having to attend and be last on the agenda or deep in the agenda. So it's a great question. I think the first step, though, is understanding, and I'd say it's to the governing board as well, where they may need more engagement by the SWA staff simply because they haven't been able to attend or haven't attended as many of the meetings. So that would be the first step. Membership.
And then a simpler question, will there be a model or sample resolution? I missed that.
Mr. Cole, it's a great question.
Yes, we are planning on doing that.
And attendant to that as well, right, is we need the toolkits, the talking points all done, and we really need those done in December to provide each of the individual members, both of the executive committee and the governing board, that package to provide. Again, for some members of the council and commission, they may not have as many questions, and others may be requiring and requesting individual meetings to do it. So really, we have to begin that process of getting the toolkits and talking points out.
Okay, with regards to the toolkits, we'll have a draft available by next Friday's EC meeting, and they'll be reviewed with conceptual. In addition to that, we've had meetings this past week with Mercury and the SES team to begin one-on-one discussions with you and setting those meetings as soon as possible. We're trying to make sure that with regards to the engagement with the SES team, that we have that one-on-one discussion with at least each of one of the executive committee members here and that aren't here, all right, and have that completed by December. So we will get the information with regards to what is the expectation and how we're going to be able to meet that expectation with the team. Daniel, you want to give any additional information on that?
Just before you do that, I do want to thank the partners in the community that have already begun that educational process. The League of Women Voters, the Sierra Club, and others have already begun deploying their ambassadors to have discussions with individual commissions and council members. That is a key component of this, right? Getting the community engaged and making sure we're out there. So as we begin to evaluate perhaps commissions and councils that are requiring a little more intense engagement, we'll be able to make sure that we have all the resources available. But we need to begin that process now, and those were great questions. Do you have anything to add to that, Daniel?
No, but I do have just a point of clarification. The question was raised about the facilities amendment and the adoption of the master plan. Just want to confirm those will be presented as resolutions as opposed to an ordinance.
Yes, well, each city may have their own requirements. Generally, this would be something that would be approved by resolution, unless some city has some provision in their charter or code that requires. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to give an opinion to every single city. We're going to prepare a resolution for each one, and that's what I think most of the cities that I know of will need. But I don't want to speak for the other city attorneys.
Yeah, and far be it for me to
Yeah, let's stop there, because I think, Mr. Cole, and just my opinion, we'll leave to the members, but I think we need to engage all city attorneys now to begin, let them know to research this, so it doesn't hit the agenda and then somebody gives a back of the envelope opinion there. So in November, let's begin that process of saying, here's what's coming. Here's what, for many cities, it's only a resolution. Here are the factors you may need to consider, whether in your charter or otherwise. Please get us a response if you can by early January, so you know whether or not we're dealing with one reading or two readings of this, because that's going to create some pressures on timelines. Is that fair, Mr. Cole?
Absolutely, we will do that.
Okay, sorry, Daniel.
and also to that point, whether it'll be a single mechanism or two separate, one for the master plan and one for the facilities amendment.
Right.
Technically, only the facility amendment is approved by the cities. The master plan is approved by the governing board, not the city elected officials. So it will be one item, either resolution
most likely possibly an ordinance, but probably a resolution approving the facilities amendment. That's all the cities are going to be asked to do.
Right, but the practical point, right, is no one's going to approve the facilities amendment if they're not in support of the master plan. So we recognize while there may not be an individual item on the agenda for seeking action by an individual commissioner or council, pragmatically, we need to make sure they're on board with the master plan and educated that way. The ultimate document that needs to be approved to move forward, though, will be the facilities amendment. That will be the trigger for whether we continue forward or not. Is that correct, Mr.
That is correct. But I would assume that in the resolution approving the facilities amendment, we're going to reference the master plan and that it was approved by the governing board. We may even attach it. I don't want any of the cities to ever come back and say, well, we didn't know that was in the master plan. So that might, to protect us, we probably will do that.
Agreed. Okay, Daniel, any other concerns or questions on the timeline, meetings or otherwise?
None at this time.
I know that you all have been working intensely with Mercury to begin that plan of both commission council engagement and partner engagement. So I appreciate that. Perhaps at the next meeting, you all be prepared to give us an update on the scheduling as was raised by the members here as to what they can expect on timelines. Each of the members are ambassadors to their own commissions and councils, and we need to make sure they're fully prepared and given as much time as possible to be able to provide the information. If individual members feel that there should be, even starting sooner than later, presentation by the SWA to your individual commissioner or councils, please get with Mr. Storti and let him know individually. It's incumbent on each of us to let him know so he can begin that scheduling process, as opposed to assuming that we have to go out to all 28. I assume the county won't need a presentation, but who knows? Except for the amendment to have the county pay for it all. Yes.
I guess the last point is no need to wait until the meeting is scheduled. If you have questions, please, through the executive director, let us have it. And we will be responding as quickly as possible.
Okay. Member Dunn, you have your card up?
Request the executive director for us to meet with staff in December and work through my aide to get after that meeting with staff to to get this on a commission workshop agenda. So I'll be working with you or have Brittany reach out to you to schedule those.
The individual members can contact Mr. Storti outside the context of this meeting to make those requests and arrangements. Member Terrebonne.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My comments are directed to Attorney Cole. Is it possible that you can draft some language as I prepare my city attorney in regards to what language and what resolution that we will be voting on? I know it's two separate entities, but I want to make sure that I eliminate any confusion for my my staff.
Certainly, we'll be in contact with all the city attorneys
Okay.
for each of the member cities and make sure they understand how this will all work.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it. All right. Next item, item 8, legal status of the draft facilities amendment. Mr. Cole.
Thank you. We have a draft, an initial draft, and we are working with the county attorneys. As you know, the facilities amendment provisions that are in the ILA that have to be included were all requested by the county. So these are things that the county wanted us to do. So we are working with them. We had our last meeting was actually on Friday, and we have another meeting this afternoon to try to get this done as quickly as we can. As always, there's some language and some substantive issues, and we're dealing with both, but we are optimistic based on Friday's conversation that we will be able to get that done. My plan is hopefully at the meeting a week from Friday for the governing board to kind of give an update of the various issues that will be included in the facilities amendment. We are adding a couple of minor things into the facilities amendment that aren't required that deal with quorum and voting, because some of the things haven't worked out exactly as planned originally. So we're going to be adding those as well. But we are on track, and we will certainly be ready to have it completed by January 16th and probably a lot earlier than that.
All right, Mr. Cole, I not wanting to put pressure on you and the county attorney's office, but I'd like to begin seeing a draft. If we can't have it for the November 20th meeting, we need it in December, whether it's competing drafts. So I understand where the county's drawing lines so we can address that issue, or whether you, Mr. Cole, are drawing lines and the county needs our concessions. I don't want to push this into January where we don't have an agreement on it and we find ourselves late in the game. I would like to hear, I'm going to leave you all to sort out, whether it's by rough elbows or otherwise, what needs to be in there. But I want to start getting a report to the members, really starting November 20th, what the outstanding issues are. Because if it turns out that there are significant issues, then our individual members can begin addressing the individual county commissioners as well as to what we think the position of the county ought to be.
Understood. That is my plan. On November 21st, I plan to report in substance, not necessarily in language, but definitely in substance as to the status of all the outstanding issues, which hopefully there will be none. Hopefully we'll have them all resolved by then. But I will, to the extent we have any unresolved business issues, that will be discussed then. Legal language where, we can work on among the attorneys. We'll work that out. But there may be business issues, but I think we're very close.
Okay. Questions from the individual members? All right. Thank you, Mr. Cole. County biosolids update.
Real quick, for those who don't know, the way we have a lot of biosolids. When you count all the cities and everybody, we got about 270,000 tons. Right now, when it's processed, stuff in the southern part of the county is processed through the Hollywood wastewater treatment. That is at a level of grade AA. Through the counties is a class B. There's a difference there. Class A, you can actually put on land application, you can grow anything on it, AA. Class B, can't. The problem is, and what we've seen, and you're seeing it throughout the United States, is that land application of waste solids has not been very well regulated. Not to the point of a lot of things that go into that. We're talking sludge. So you're talking a lot of things that aren't regulated by the EPA, like pharmaceuticals that go into it, PFAS, all those kind of things. So the county looked at that along with 17 cities for the last 3 years. What they've been doing is they looked at 19 different possibility ways of dealing with this. As time has gone by over those 3 years, it's been a good group that's looked at all kind of possibilities, and they wanted to have the most environmentally sound and cost-effective way of doing it. So they went from 19 to 7, and they landed on thermal drying, here's the reasons why they picked that, just so you know. Proven technology all over the United States. Palm Beach is doing it. They're doing, local. The total cost would be about $200 million. Ease of implementation was one of the main reasons. Huge reduction in solids, the amount of it. It produces a sellable product. It uses the methane out of the landfill to actually do the thermal drying. So what you're wanting to do is to find a use for that kind of natural gas. And the thermal drying actually has a reduction in PFAS, which is, one of the big, we probably should not be putting it on ground, on land application if there's PFAS in it. You've seen farms in Vermont, Maine that are closing now because of that. And it's still not regulated by the EPA. That's still not regulated. Despite that, we're going to go forward and do what's right and deal with it the way it should be. There are 6 sites that have been looked at. That is still under consideration. You need 5 acres. You need 3 acres if you're co-located next to a wastewater treatment plant. Last county commission meeting, we awarded, and I think it's Corolla. Clay, is that right? Any idea? Clay, do you remember the name of the company? Corolla? Okay. Oh, you would. Okay. Okay. All right. They awarded it. I think it was 40 million. All right. Okay. To go forward with the design. And that will take a little while, probably about a year is my guess. And that's kind of where we're at. So it's going forward. I think this is a good way to go forward. I think all the cities felt the same way that are part of it. And that's about all I got.
Okay. Is there a summary paper or summary materials that
Yes.
the individual members could utilize to
Yes.
pass along while not directly within SWA's wheelhouse? I think it's important as part of the overall discussion of what we're doing in a circular way to address these issues. How
Well,
would we access that?
I think, I mean, this is your actual solid waste.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, I understand that, but we haven't been tasked with doing that part of it, as you know. So I appreciate the county continuing forward along with the 17 cities. I'm just asking if there's a summary.
There is, and to go on that point, I do think it's when we committed to trying to take all of the organics out of the landfill. For those that don't know, a lot of biosolids goes into the landfill. And one of the things we wanted to do, and that's part of where that's where the smell comes from. And I thought it was, incumbent upon us to find a way to not keep putting that in the landfill. Right now, you've got 12 million gallons of garbage juice coming out of that landfill that has to go through the wastewater treatment plant. So this is I think for the neighbors of the landfill, this is one of those things that there is a nexus point here. And I think it's incumbent upon us to find a way to deal with it that way. So yes, and I'll send that to Todd, the most recent paper.
Okay.
And you can distribute it.
Great. And will that include the financing with it? Because I know the county is getting a host fee from the landfill. How much of the host fee will be going towards this? Do we know?
No idea.
Okay. All right, Member Mead.
Thank you, Chair. You mentioned there's Class A and Class B. Without being graphic, what's the difference? Is it contamination? Is it processing?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
The difference between Class A and Class B that you had mentioned earlier?
Yes, it's the degree of how much of the pathogens you take out of it.
Okay. And you had also mentioned a price tag of 200 million. Does that include the land?
You said it was 200 million. Does that include land?
Oh, I don't think so. I think that is that's just the facility itself.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the biosolids? Okay, new and old business informational material. I'll use this as an opportunity to get any updates from the subcommittees that may want to offer those. The C&D subcommittee, I don't know if there's any update.
I'd like to.
Real quick, Member Mead and I are actually going to Lee County Friday to tour their facilities, and we have that's been set up. So we'll have more information that'll be presented at next week's C&D subcommittee meeting. I can give an update at next Friday's EC and Governing Board meeting.
Member Materbone on that topic.
Yes, I have old business, not necessarily to my committee, so I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn.
I'll preserve that. Any further comments on the C&D? I know the county, it's focused on the biosolids. I know we need to move forward on the C&D plan, and the county is an enormous partner. I assume the county's already been to Lee County representatives, so they understand what that is. Is that fair to say? And if they have a staff available to go with Member Mead and the executive director to make sure we're efficient in trying to move forward on that. Do we know?
I do not know about that.
I don't know if they've actually gone there, but they are well aware of the legalities and the legal part of what they're using.
Yeah, but you have staff at the county, right, who's responsible for C&D? So should they not be? They don't have to go. I'm not saying they have to go, but this has been in their wheelhouse for years and years and years. So I would think this is a key component and a juncture where I would like to make sure the county has the full opportunity to participate in that, so that we can move forward aggressively. SWA seems to be leading this at this point. So
I think and I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I think they've been promoting the Lee County alternative.
All right. So do they need to go then, or they're saying they don't need to go? If they're ready, then I look forward to hearing their proposal as soon as possible after Member Mead and the executive director comes back. I just don't want to hear that somehow there's more engagement, there's more analysis that needs to be done from the county side, when we're specifically taking the time, Member Mead's going out of his way with the executive director to go to Lee County to ask any questions that need to be asked. I just want to make sure we're clearing that off the table so we can move forward with a hearty proposal.
Yeah, I don't think there's any problem.
Okay. We're on the record on that. Thank you, Member Mead, for doing that. Member Mateo Bone, I know you wanted to put your card up, and Member Dunn as well.
Two comments, Chair. Will it be a violation of sunshine if I attend the meeting with Member Mead?
It would be, yes.
Okay, so I guess I will not be joining you. Huh?
Make sure we take lots of pictures.
Let me just say in
It could be
advance.
Sunshine.
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to notice it, and there's all sorts of other rules that we may have to, I'll leave it to Mr. Cole,
Yeah.
whose heart rate monitor just went up dramatically, if you can see it on there. But to that point, if members have, this is a good point you're raising, if members have questions that they'd like Mr. Storty to engage and get answers to while he's engaging Lee County, please get those today to Mr. Storty or as soon as possible so that he can, by Thursday, to make sure. Well, that won't be shared with Member Mead, of course, but the executive director can then engage Lee County representatives to get all the answers that the members may have been thinking about to this point. Is that fair?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for allowing us to participate in this way. My follow-up question will just to report out myself and Vice Chair Furr just attended the pre-conversations for COP30, and there was a lot of conversations around waste management that was very central to this year's theme. And there was a great waste to energy conversation that happened at the convening. Would love to share that information with my colleagues here and how these new technologies have been retrofitted to really capture carbon and really decrease what we would ultimately think would cause an environmental justice impact, when in actuality they've done a great job scrubbing their stacks to ensure that those gases do not leave the waste to energy. It's been very, very innovative. As you know, Copenhagen, I did the presentation on Copenhagen Hill. They use this very similar technologies, and I think that it would be very beneficial to us. They did frown upon landfills. They are trying to move away from landfills in the next 10 to 15 years. All countries in Europe, they've made that commitment. And so would love for us to really move away from that landfill conversation or generating a new landfill here in Broward County, and or transporting our garbage or solids to another county as well. So I'm not sure if Vice Chair Furr would like to add to my comments, but I thought that presentation was very well put together. As well as circular economy, we went with a delegation from ICLEI, and there was a great conversation around circular economy that I think that we can adopt here. San Antonio is doing something very similar. A lot of cities, municipalities in Texas are doing something very similar. And I think these are ways for us to really be innovative in this area and bring money back into the county. And then lastly, wanted to speak to, thank you, Mr. Storty, for all of the great work that you've been doing and your leadership. But I think in the light of transparency and accountability, we do need to move forward with a review. And I would love for us to put that on our next agenda for an executive director review, for us to either provide any feedback and or what we would like to continue to see or what we don't like seeing, so you are able to be more effective in your role. That's all for me, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Member Terrebonne. As to the materials that you gather, I'll turn it over to the Vice Chair in a second. The materials you gathered, please do share that with through Mr. Storty with the members. I know everyone would be very interested. Thank you for sharing that. We will put on, unless there's any comments or alternative views from the members, we'll put that request for the executive director review on the next meeting. As a reminder, we have the governing board there as well, so it'll be a robust meeting. So be ready for that. Vice Chair, any comments on the conference that you went to?
Sure. And before I say that, to direct to Richard's earlier public comment, that I think the county does have two sites in particular for composting that are guaranteed, or for sure. The landfill that's out on the Southwest landfill cells are being opened and ready. in 2027, the land in Okeechobee is available for all of our separated, source separated compost. So we have two large sites that could be, obviously, that could handle almost everything we need. I think the idea of decentralizing some of the compost in various places is an interesting one, and one that, neighbors have to kind of go along with it. Particularly if you're doing it in schools and things like that. But I think we are in a good shape for that. And I say that before because when at the conference, this was a big issue on getting the organics out of landfills. It turns out we're ahead on that one part of of most people. When we looked at all the cities that were represented, and they were represented from all over the world. And we saw what we were doing here was on the cutting edge. There are some cities that are already ahead of us a little bit on this. Austin, they're doing some source separation, but those things are good. I did, it was interesting seeing cities like Helsinki and what they're doing. They are, their mindset is so far ahead of us in many ways, and that they are. And the thing that it's going to take us years and years to catch up with is particularly on the manufacturing level, where the manufacturers are responsible for what happens to. And we're just not anywhere close to that. Just not, I mean, we can't even get a bottle bill through here. We can't get a plastic bag issue. So, we end up having way more waste than they do. Their recycling rate, they're not even above 50% in terms of what gets recycled but that's because they don't have as much waste. They have a waste energy plant that takes care of the other 50%. And because they're so good at it, they are now importing garbage from Italy to because they're using that energy to heat their streets, for electricity for all different places. They use it in a way that so when you start to see these things and on a worldwide level, things are happening. There's things that we're doing really good, and there's places where the fact that we're doing a 40-year plan makes a lot of sense because it may take a lot of time for a lot of stuff. So it was it's always amazing when you have a chance to hear all this stuff and how they're able to do all the satellite imagery, look at plumes and see where there's fugitive methane gas here and there. They've just gone a long ways. So it's heartening in what we're doing. And I think we're on the right track for the most part. And be glad to bring more back at another time.
I would note that Member Furr's reference to an enormous beneficial aspect of that was heating streets. Not a big issue here in South Florida, although I hear tomorrow that might be a big issue. So it's timely that you've decided, because it's supposed to get cold.
Oh, yeah.
All right, thank you. So the materials, though, that were developed, at least the written materials, if you both be prepared to share that with Mr. Storty so you can share it with the members. Okay, Member Dunn.
Yes, Chair, in regards to an update from the Education Subcommittee, I know that our consultant from Conceptual PR has been meeting with each of us to get our feedback. In the next week or two, we're going to be hosting our first meeting with the PIOs from multiple cities. So a lot of excitement happening, and we do expect to have a draft toolkit for us to review shortly. Thank you.
To that point, Mr. Storty, for the PIOs, both the upfront notice that's going to them for that meeting, make sure you get it to the individual members so that they can make sure their PIOs or whoever is designated on their staff will attend. And then let's have an assessment afterwards as to who did not attend, not because we're looking to do anything negative, but just to make sure we then get the materials to them specifically. Is that fair? Thank you, Member Dunn. To Mr. Storty, one issue I'd like to have, and we talked about it prior to the meeting, as the members know, there was significant attention at the last governing board meeting from those who felt they weren't getting enough information, and we specifically set out to invite them to each of these meetings. The governing board was invited to this meeting. I just want to note for the record, we don't have any members of the governing board who are not members of the executive committee. But that being said, let's continue to do that. We have a governing board meeting on the 21st. We'll emphasize it again. I would request that the executive director send out a note that the executive committee did hold a meeting today. The topics that we covered, that the governing board was invited, and we didn't have any members of the governing board attend. But we need to continue to emphasize to the governing board members that they're welcome here. Just because they didn't get elected onto this position here, we emphasized, and the messaging at the last governing board was we are at a critical juncture and we need all representatives around the table, irrespective of what the title of the meeting is. Member Furr.
To that point, what on the 20, it's the 21st, right?
Correct, 21st.
What is our plan to present to the governing board members in terms of all this that we're going through, so that they're able to digest it the best? And what is our plan so that they know we're looking to them to be the ambassadors, to be the emissaries of all this information? And are we going to be able to hand them a toolkit? What are we going to be able to give them there so that they're able to go from there to their cities? Or do we have anything that's going to be ready to go for them?
Okay, as Member Dunn updated, apparently the toolkit has an ETA associated with it. Hopefully it's by that meeting. If it's not, then the presentation will be, this is what's coming and this is what you will need to digest rapidly and then get back to us with questions. Second, I think Mr. Cole will outline in detail the timeline, what's expected, what we're doing. Third, we'll set the expectations for future meetings, as we've discussed previously today, as to when things need to be approved or workshopped and begin that. Fourth will be a call to action to make sure that the governing board is initiating that engagement with their staff and their own councils. And lastly, obviously, fielding any questions regarding the master plan that they didn't get from the last update that we had. The action items are relatively limited. This was a call by the governing board to have more meetings.
Okay.
And so this is a matter of doing two things. One, educating where we are in terms of timelines and information. And second, a call to action. Again, emphasizing, as has been pointed out, the governing board members are eyes and ears. I don't want to say ambassadors because they're entitled to have their own individual positions on whether to adopt this or move forward, but they are our eyes and ears as to what the issues are in their individual communities, and we need that feedback aggressively. I would welcome from the members any other action items or plans for the governing board, but I think that's a basic outline of where we are.
Do we know if there's any new governing board members that are going to be starting from kind of ground zero?
That's a great question, Mr. Stewart. I'd ask you to do an inventory of that, and to the extent you identify any new members who have not, let's say, within the last year, been part of this process, to set up an individual contact meeting with them to get them up to speed as to where we are, ask them what materials they need. Obviously I can't meet with them because of sunshine. So I'm gonna have to rely on you to educate and bring them up to speed. That's a hugely important issue, and that'll have to be done, well before the 21st.
Because I think it's probably pretty well set now. Whoever's going to be the governing board members and this executive committee, these are going to be the ones who are going to have to carry the ball.
Mr. Cole, are there any other election dates that are expected for the executive committee or the governing board between now and the projected effort to pass the facilities amendment?
It's hard to predict because we don't know what's going to happen. Cities can change the governing board members at any time. As far as the executive committee, someone could resign, but I don't know of any planned, but you don't know.
Okay. Leaving aside the caveats that are inherent in it, we don't have any projected changes though, right? Don't we have another election coming in January?
I think
for chair. And
yes, we do have that election.
Chair.
But then
not for vice chair because he's a permanent member.
That's correct.
Since the county's paying for all this.
But I don't know if there's any city elections
in March.
I think there may be, actually.
All right, so go ahead and take an assessment.
We may have to deal with that in March.
Just have an assessment and eyes on. No action needs to be taken in that regard, I don't think. All right, any other old business or discussion items? Have a motion to adjourn?
So
Motion by member Shuham, seconded by member Cagliano. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye, we're adjourned. Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, slow it right into almost like a hour. This is what we need to do. Yeah, here, build it up and then say, we need you guys.
The action plan. I agree. I'll try to think that through.